Hello, good evening, and welcome to Prime Business with me, Emma Davis. Now to a story coming in. The Bank of Ghana is warning the public against dealing with 8 money transfer organizations and forex firms operating without approval. The Bank of Ghana, in the statement issued a while ago, stated that these firms are operating within the remittance and forex markets without approval from the central bank. The firms are Lemfi, Wise, TransferGo, Zoom, a PayPal service. The rest are Send Value, Boss Revolution, BTC Aza Finance, and Supersonics. The Bank of Ghana, in the said notice, is advising the various players in the banking and financial sectors not to facilitate transactions with these firms. The Bank of Ghana also adds that it will not hesitate to sanction any financial institution that does not comply with this directive. And in the statement there, you could find the firms listed, and it also reads that Section 3.1 of the Foreign Exchange Act 2006, Act 723, states that a person shall not engage in the business of dealing in foreign exchange without a license issued under this Act. Further, by Section 15.3 of the Foreign Exchange Act 2006 states that each transfer of foreign exchange to or from Ghana shall be made through a person licensed to carry out the business of money transfers or any other authorized dealer. The public, banks, dedicated electronic money issuers, and enhanced payment service providers are by this notice cautioned to desist from dealing with any of these institutions named above. Approved MTOs are hereby reminded to terminate their foreign exchange flows through their partner institutions only and to adhere strictly to all guidelines in respect of their operations. By this notice, all market players are reminded of the directives above and entreated to comply accordingly. Non-compliance will result in severe sanctions, including the withdrawal of the license of the institution in breach. Still with the Bank of Ghana, as it says, it has instituted a lot of measures to promote digitalization in the banking sector and financial technology startups. The central bank maintains that some of these initiatives have gone a long way to improve payment systems in the country and supported the growth of banks. First Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Maxwell Opoku Afari, has been speaking on NASDAQ Trade Talk on the sidelines of the FinTech Festival in Singapore.
The Bank of Ghana has done a lot since 2019. We started a lot before 2019, but I want to take it from 2019 when we worked together to introduce the Payment Systems and Services Act. This Payment Systems and Services Act allowed the Bank of Ghana to license and also regulate electronic money issuers and payment service providers. That was transformational. Prior to that, they were not officially licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. So once we were able to get that on board and we're able to then allow license and regulate them, then the Bank of Ghana in 2020 set up a dedicated office in the bank called the FinTech and Innovation Office. That dedicated office was then to drive the agenda for the Cashlight agenda and also to promote the digitization agenda in Ghana.
How does this align with the broader transformation goals of Ghana?
You know, since the government came into power, they decided to push or transform the economy through digitization and to promote growth. So digitization has been a key agenda for that, and the central bank has been at the center of this digitization drive. So what we've done is that since having the Payment Systems and Services Act in place and setting up the FinTech office, we've put together a lot of policy initiatives that are aligned with that of the government broader agenda. One, we've tried to bring back what we call a risk-based licensing and regulatory framework. You know, it's always difficult to strike a good balance between innovation and financial stability. So we've tried to do that to ensure that we bring proportionality to the way fintechs are regulated and licensed, to give them the flexibility to innovate, but at the same time to ensure that we do not compromise on financial stability. And we've done that, and beyond that, we've also introduced a lot of policies and guidelines.
Away from the Bank of Ghana, the National Petroleum Authority has assured that all products sold in the country meet the necessary safety and international standards. It follows complaints from some consumers about reduced performance of their vehicles as a result of fuel purchased from some retail stations. The development forced the authority to undertake some investigations. But in a statement, the industry regulator maintained that issues about vehicle performance cannot be linked to substandard petroleum products sold in the country. Joining us via phone is the head of communications at NPA, Mohammed Abdul Kudus. Hello, Mohammed. Thanks for joining me tonight. Can we first establish how widespread this issue is?
Thank you so much for having me on your network. Widespread of it would probably be difficult for me to really establish. But I might say that we've had complaints both from the social media and direct representation to our authority, indicating that some people have one form of challenge after consuming some petroleum products. And so that generated the concerns out there. And so to the question of how widespread, that might be difficult. But if through it, our investigation suggests that it is mostly the consumers of the premium petrol who had this particular complaints. And if you were to segment them, I probably can say it conservatively, over 90% of Ghanaians consume the regular, not the premium fuel. So it is out of the consumers of premium fuel that we have reported incidents of challenges to their cars after filling or buying the product into their tanks.
Is it safe to say you've concluded your investigations?
Absolutely, absolutely. So what we've traced and realized is that it has to do with the concentration of one of the parameters in the fuel. The fuel, as you see, it contains certain parameters or methods. And depending on the configuration of the car, it might have its allowable or tolerance level to a particular metal in the composition of the fuel. And in this particular instance, we realized that we had a certain consignment that came into Ghana that had a higher concentration than what we've been used to over the period. What we've been used to has basically has been between 6 and 8 milligrams per liter of the concentration of manganese. But the standard as set under the authority is between 0 and 18. So the last consignment that we had, we realized that it had close to the highest allowable standard, that is closer to the 18. And some particular brand of vehicles had a certain intolerance to the level of that concentration. And that is why some actually registered or realized the slow performance of their cars, and the acceleration was not as it is supposed to be, and in some cases, hijacking of the car that is suspected to be an effect on the plugs. So it has to do with the level of concentration of manganese. But like I said, first of all, we ought to establish that the standard for the concentration of manganese is between 0 and 18. And so a product that comes into the country and it is within this limit is acceptable, it is wholesome, and indeed standard for consumption. But depending on the vehicle that are using, a vehicle that has a top level of manganese below 5. So such vehicle, when they consume such fuel, are likely to have the challenge. And like I said, in the recent past, we've not had a that has gone beyond 8. Okay, but obviously, like I said, because the limit is at 18, it is allowed for somebody to bring somebody a product beyond 8. But NPA has actually taken it upon itself to ensure that, okay, we are able to get a certain category or kind of fuel into the system that would supply or feed all facets of the consuming public. Accordingly, we've directed that consignments that subsequently are going to be brought into the country must not have manganese levels beyond 6 for the regular and premium petrol, respectively. And so,
Mr. Kudus, I understand you're checking the magnesium level, but what other actions are you taking in dealing with this challenge? And then will there be any compensations for persons that have had their vehicles damaged as a result of this development?
Okay, so first of all, what we are doing, and that is what I started with by saying that so we've directed the Importers Association that going forward, the consignment that they will be bringing into the country should not have a concentration beyond 6 and 2 milligrams per liter for regular and premium. That is to be able to take care of the customers that have vehicles whose tolerance level should not go beyond 6. So hopefully would have been arrested. Then secondly, we are in conversation with the Ghana Standard Authority, who are mandated to come out with the current standards, hopefully to 6 and 2, so that we are able to have a law that regulates how much comes into the country beyond the directive from the NPA. On the leg of compensation, we actually are assessing a report case by case basis. So those who are affected, when they report to us, that investigation would be conducted, and largely the victim could be invited to be part of the discussion. So where it is established that indeed a particular fuel from a particular OMC has had effect on the performance of a car, we could get the particular OMC to really remedy the situation by fixing the car for the consumer. Establish that indeed the trace of the effect is from the consumption of that particular vehicle. So we're encouraging as many people as possible. Let's have a dialogue. Let's bring our cases to the NPA. Let it be established, so that when it is really established beyond reasonable doubt that it is a consumption of a particular product from a particular OMC that has led to a certain effect, then we can have a conversation as to how to remedy the situation, so there will be a win-win situation for us all.
Thank you, Mr. Kudus, for making time. Mohammed Abdul Kudus is Communications Manager at NPA. Now, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry says it is in talks with the Ghana Exim Bank to provide cheaper funding for Ghanaian women SMEs. According to the chamber, it is imperative for these women to compete favorably under the African Continental Free Trade Area, just like other trading counterparts. Speaking to Joy Business at the GNCC National Women Conference on AFTA, President of the Chamber, Dr. Clement Osei Amoako, said there must be a deliberate effort to support women SMEs in that regard. Here's more.
The private sector, which includes about 44% women entrepreneurs, currently constitutes 90% of enterprises in Ghana in a bid to boost women participation in trade under the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. GNCC, in partnership with the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, have organized the National Women Conference on AFTA to provide them with tailor-made solutions on how to leverage on the trade pact in order to compete favorably. Dr. Clement Sayamwako is the president of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
The AFTA, a flagship project of the Agenda 2063, goes beyond facilitating trade. It serves as a catalyst for uplifting our community and empowering individuals to overcome poverty through the creation of an enabling environment where they can thrive in an economically integrated continent. To materialize, we must ensure inclusivity and sustainable socio-economic development.
He tells Joy Business his chamber is in talks with Exim Bank and other stakeholders on how to provide cheaper source of funding to Ghanaian entrepreneurs ply their trade in exports.
But exports is the best for every country to thrive on. Once we are doing international trade, export has more advantage than import. And so government, together with us, must see the essence of exporting. And so even if you have to get a cost of fund very low for them to penetrate, and I must say that here, you must look at our competitive and comparative advantage. Those that we can produce at a lower cost to be able to penetrate the market, because the consumer has a perfect knowledge of the market in terms of prices. Yes, we are going to work with the government, we are going to work with other bodies, together with the Exim Bank, and sit down with Ministry of Trade and other people to make sure that our women, and for that matter the entire people who want to export in Africa, have a reasonable and a very reduced interest rate to be able to patronize.
Programs Officer, Enterprise Support and Trade and Finance at AFTA, Dr. Divine, called for the review of the country's trade laws to support women who want to compete under AFTA.
There's a need for us to integrate AFCFTA into our trade laws as a country to align with the AFCFTA objective. So the NCO, under one of our thematic areas captured in our national policy framework, which is trade policy, we are currently reviewing our trade laws to see that they align with the AFCFTA. In the context of women, women form a very chunk of our cross-border trade. So there's a need for us to also integrate women and youth in our trade laws.
The conference brought over 100 women-led businesses together. For Joy Business, Pius Kojubaka.
The EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair comes off next week. Ahead of the fair, we will be bringing you glimpses of what to expect. Today, one of the exhibitors, Petrotrust, a pensions company, explains its unique service of helping people use part of their pension contributions to acquire a home.
the property. That's just one of the ways that we're trying to solve this problem. The other interesting and exciting one is that per the Pensions Act, you are allowed to access your funds for the purposes of acquiring a primary home. And so there is also possibility to use your pension funds to access a home. Our target market is everyone. There's a very fine difference between those who can afford now and those who can afford later. That's why we have home planning as part of the product that we're selling. So you may not be able to afford it now, but we could put you on a plan that in the next 5 years you'll be able to afford a home if you stick to the plan and work with our advisors. And so our target is pretty much everyone. The product and the drive comes in 3 major placements, right? In the first place, we are able to offer you a cheap mortgage over a longer period to help you finish your building. So you get construction financing or a home financing package. In the second space, we can actually help to put you in any house at all that you are interested to own. And we are again using our relationships to give you cheaper mortgage rates, longer tenors, and cheaper pricing of the houses. What is interesting is the third one, where we are actually able to work with a developer and be able to commit some of your pension funds towards the payment of your primary home. And this is money that you didn't know that you had access to. And indeed, according to the law, unless you go on pension, you don't have access to. There is a moonshot goal that we are currently piloting. We are able to help employers who have sort of acquired lands on behalf of their employees to bring together contractors with set plans and provide the financing that the individuals can use to sort of complete their homes. We did a lot of research last year, started piloting it at the beginning of this year, and now we're actually going out based on the success stories that we have. We have somebody that was able to access a home, for example. They're looking to buy a home, but they don't have the time, they don't even trust developers. They don't know what to look out for. But when they heard of Easy Homes by Petra, a trusted brand, they were able to close on a house in Pokwase area, and now they have a house because they know they can trust Petra to lead them to the right people, for example. So this is purely using the brand. There's another person that had a land, they are trying to build on it, they are really in a block, they don't have enough money to continue, and they are spending money on increasing rent. They didn't know that they have home financing possibilities, right? Speaking to Petra, an advisor has been able to help them to access home financing, which has helped them to sort of complete their house. I would invite them to come and talk to us at our stand. Obviously, in the Habitat Fair, I think it's an opportunity for us to put ourselves out there for people to hear what we're trying to do. The team is working on some promos and some offers, particularly for the fair. I wouldn't want to tease out. I think everything I've told about the project is quite interesting enough. So look out for us when you come to Habitat Fair, and we will have some very interesting offers and stories to tell you, propositions for you to help you get into that primary home that you so deserve and so look up to.
I look forward to seeing you at the conference center next week, 23rd to 25th of this month. That's all for Prime Business with me, Emma Davis. For more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. I leave you with international business.